What up, guys? Your boy Quake back with a brand new episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast, number 290. Damn, we're closing in on 300. Of course, powered by the one and only Golden Eagle Energy Drink. Get your Golden Eagle Energy Drinks at drinkgoldeneagle.com/DMP. Show them support. They've sponsored all season 4 of the podcast. And of course, we want them continuing that for season 5, season 6, season 7. We want them being the energy drink of the show always. So support them. Get yourself a 24-pack. Show love. You support them. You're supporting me. So I appreciate it. But yeah, shout out to them. Powered by them. And luckily, there's not too much news to go over. So this episode isn't going to be super long like the last one and the one previously. But it is going to feature a bar-for-bar breakdown. And I don't know which track. It's either going to be Not Like Us, Meet the Grams, or The Heart Part 6. I've recorded all of them in terms of like just the video, but I haven't edited any of them. So whichever one I finish is the one that's going to be on this podcast episode, so I can't tell which one it is. I just want to talk about some video games. I'm dead ass. I just want to talk about some video games right now. I haven't had time to play video games, right? So I bought Spider-Man 2 for the PS5, obviously. Bought RoboCop Rogue City. Yeah, RoboCop. If you don't know about RoboCop, go do your Googles and watch the movies. The original ones, the ones in the 80s, not the remake in 2014. Bought, I don't know what games I bought. I don't know. I bought a few, right? And come to find out, I never had time to play them. Like, I bought these games full price at like $70, $60, whatever the price was. Never ended up playing them. Now they're on discount for like $30, whatever. I'm fine with paying that full amount because I know at the time when I bought them, I can trust these companies, so I'm willing to give them full amount of my money. Like anybody that I really like, any company or anybody that I really rock with and I like and I trust, you know, I'm fine with giving the full money. But it's just funny how I buy them full price, don't play them, and then like probably 6 months later they become like half price on like sales. But I ended up finally having time to play some type of video games because I'm a video game fanatic whenever I have time to do it, which is rare. So I ended up playing Spider-Man 2, finished the game, amazing, great storyline. Then I started playing RoboCop Rogue City, which is a video game that adapts the movie. Usually video games that adapt movies are horrible. But this is a company, not a big like gaming company, but they made this, and it's amazing, man. I'm playing it right now. I'm watching the movies again because I love it. It's if you haven't played the game, go ahead and check it out, man. RoboCop Rogue City. It's on sale right now for like $1 or $32. So right now is like on PlayStation at least. I don't know about Xbox if it's on sale on there, but on PlayStation it is on sale. So check that out. Yeah, I just want to let you guys know I've been gaming a little bit here, and it's been helping me because it takes my mind a lot out of like this stuff that I'm doing daily. Because sometimes I get in a zone where I'm just working for like, you know, like these past 4-5 months, whatever, because of this Kendrick thing and all this stuff that's going on, then documentaries and all that. So it takes a little time, and I kind of want to decompress. And sometimes I go out with friends and family, stuff like that, decompress. Sometimes I'll just play video games. And now it's been the mode where I've been wanting to play video games a little bit. So I haven't been on vacation in over a year and a half. It's about to be 2 years. Once this year's over, I haven't been on vacation for 2 years at all. Haven't gone anywhere. Just been working. So I need to do that as well. Get a place where I can go on vacation. Hopefully by next year. This year I definitely won't be able to. I don't think I will be. But yeah, let's get into the news, and then later on, whatever song I break down is what it is. I don't know. Not Like Us, Meet the Grams, or The Heart Part 6. One of those three is going to be broken down, and then the next episode I'm going to try. Actually, it probably won't be the next episode because it's only like 2 days away. Yeah, I'll either try to have both of them, like 2 tracks, bar for bar breakdowns, or I'll just have one. We'll see. Depends on the news, depends on how long the episode is, all that. So after that, I'm finally done with the bar for bar breakdowns. Then, you know, I can focus more on the documentaries because it's taking a lot of time away from the documentaries as well. Because a lot of these things just take podcasts, documentaries, all this stuff takes a lot of time. So let's get into the news, and I want to give an update, kind of like an update on Michael Jackson's estate. You know, we reported about like how his Michael Jackson's mom was suing the estate for not properly paying duties, and the kids didn't like that, and a lot of stuff was going on behind the scenes, just arguing about money and how the $400 million that Sony paid to buy Michael Jackson's publishing and stuff like that was not a good amount, and his mom was not accepting that, and how, you know, you remember Michael Jackson had issues with Sony Records. They never liked each other, you know, not never, but you know, later on in the years, Michael Jackson said, hey, these guys are devils and they're leeching off of me. and I don't want nothing to do with them. So, Michael Jackson passes away in 2009, sorry, not 2019, but 2009, and then, now Sony's trying to buy his music again because they know his music is forever going to be timeless. This is why I have an issue with Apple Music's top 100 albums list and not having Michael Jackson's Thriller on there. Not number one, at least. It's on there. It's number two. But number one, it should have been because his music just breaks barriers, constantly relevant. So, yeah. Let's go over the article. It's interesting, right? Michael Jackson's estate has cut off funding to the late king of pop's 3 children, and the payments cannot resume until the tax issues the estate is facing are resolved. This is huge tax issues, by the way. It's not just a low amount of money. It's a lot of money. People is reporting that the IRS filed a claim with the estate on Tuesday, May 28th, demanding that no further money can be added to the trust funds of the beneficiaries' estates until their matters with the federal agency are resolved. In addition to his 3 children, Jackson's mother, Catherine, is also a beneficiary of his estate. In annual reports provided to the probate court, which are publicly available, anyone can see that the estate provides Michael's mother and children with very substantial amounts of money to support them. Read a statement from the estate to the outlet. It concluded the estate has a very cooperative relationship with Michael's children, and whenever they need anything, the estate works with them to ensure they are very well taken care of, just as Michael would have wanted. This is the crazy thing. The IRS is contending that the estate of Michael Jackson owes more than $700 million in back taxes. It's almost we're $300 million away from $1 billion in back taxes. Back in March, Catherine Jackson challenged John Brecka and John McClain, co-executives of late King of Pop's estate, from moving forward with an unnamed transaction. The dispute, according to legal accounts, is costing her a substantial amount in legal fees, which Jackson's son Blanket argued shouldn't be financially responsible of MJ's estate. So that was a long time ago report on that. But apparently, the IRS has concluded, hey, you guys owe us $700 million. Now, we knew at the time before Michael Jackson passed away that Michael Jackson was in incredible debt. By that is like, listen, by the way, rich people's debt is different than regular people's debt, right? Like us, we have debt that is more simple. Rich people at that level of Michael Jackson, where they're billionaires, they got debt at different depths and different levels where they borrow and borrow and borrow from different things and borrow to pay this borrower, to pay this borrower, to pay this borrower. I mean, if we look at Diddy's documents that came out, he doesn't even own the houses he has because he used them as like liens on other businesses and stuff like that. That's usually how rich people do. They just borrow money to borrow other money, to borrow other money to pay for other things, to borrow money to pay for, like, that's just how, if you're smart when it comes to America and how to finesse the system, you want to use other people's money as much as possible and use it in a smart way, obviously. For example, I always use the car loan examples. Car loan, you only want to get a car loan if the interest rate beats the market, meaning if the interest rate, let's just say the market is 4%, right? Interest rates are what the market is. If you get below that, and that 4%, if you invest into savings, you get 4% off your savings account, right? If you're making 4% off that, you're making more money than what the interest rate is charging you. So you would normally get something that's under 4% on interest rate on a car loan. That beats the market because you're saving money. That makes sense to get a car loan. When you're not beating the market, then you're losing money, drastic amounts. So it's not as simple as that. There's a lot more details into it that I can get into and just go crazy on it. But that's just the simple gist of it, that you always want to beat the market when you're getting any type of loan or anything like that. Right now, interest rates are astronomically high. So, of course, it's the worst time to get a car loan or anything, any type of loan. But, at the time, Michael Jackson was struggling with, just having a lot of money borrowed and, hey, I owe this, I owe that, I owe that. So what he did was, hey, how can I recoup, or how can I make a bunch of money to pay off all my debts, right? Let me do a tour. Then he does, hey, the final, what is it called? The last tour, I forgot what it's called. I got to get this name right. This is it, right? He announced it. It initially had, I don't know how many shows. It had, it started out with a few shows. Like, it wasn't too much, right? It started out with like 20 shows, and then all of a sudden a bunch of dates started getting added, and people were like, yo, can Michael Jackson actually do these shows? Because It's like he's getting a lot older. You know, it's going to be a lot harder to do them, blah, 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 right? Well, you know, they added a bunch of shows and knew that they're going to make astronomical amounts of money because Michael Jackson touring. That's one way that artists can forever make money if they got music that actually warrants them to be able to tour for the rest of their life. Like if they made classics, they can tour for the rest of their life and make money. Prime example, 50 Cent. Then you got other artists that haven't made classics that tour and can't sell out shows for anything. I'm not going to name names, but a lot of newer artists have struggled to sell out shows or just do any types of tours because they're not selling. Jennifer Lopez just recently canceled her tour, and they had like Live Nation came up with the excuse of like, hey, she's focusing on her family and stuff like that, when in reality she was selling like 20% to 30% of her shows. Like, that's horrible. Like, you got to at least sell like 67% to make it somewhat successful. But, you know, that's what artists do. They usually get into these tourist things, pay off their debts, whatever they owe. Now, Live Nation, this is why it's best to not sign with Live Nation if you're an artist, because Live Nation will do a thing where they'll loan you money, and you're thinking, oh, I just did a deal with Live Nation. They gave me $10 million. You know, wow, I just got $10 million, right? You're excited. But on the back end, Live Nation's like, you got to pay us $20 million back, and on top of that, we're making money off of everything that you're doing, from the entries of people to the drinks that are being sold to everything. And that's how you get screwed into a contract where you're in debt consistently, paying off the loan, and then you constantly have to tour. A lot of artists get stuck in that trap, and that's why they're touring for a lot of their lives. Regardless, Michael Jackson had to pay off all these debts, did these tours, and said, hey, once I'm done with these tours, I paid off my debts, I'm good to go. Now, could have Michael Jackson been like, no, I don't want to tour. Instead, what I'll do is just sell my Beatles catalog, which was worth, I don't know how much, an astronomical amount of money. He could have just sold a bunch of his assets and been like, hey, I'll pay off my debts by doing that, from the IRS to whatever debts he owed. But he wanted to keep those while, you know, while keeping those, do shows, use that money, and just pay people off. Unfortunately, that never ended up happening because he passed away before the actual tour could start. But $700 million is, you would think after all these years, because I know when he died, he had how much debt did Michael Jackson have when he died? Let me actually look this up for you guys. He was in debt over $400 million by the time of his death. So $400 million right now. I don't know if that's from this and they haven't paid this back yet, or if it's from new debt accumulated after his death. Because after his death, his sales skyrocketed. He ended up like making billions and billions after his death. More people were purchasing things from Michael Jackson, and you know, record labels love that. That's why there is a death clause, and I'm not going to get into all that. It's a whole conspiracy theory, but it's actual facts. I don't even think it's conspiracy theory. I want to do a documentary on those type of things like that, but that's down the line. But regardless, $400 million, let's just say it was from this interest rate after all these years, added up to $700 million. Still hasn't paid that off. That is an astronomical amount of money. I don't know how much Michael Jackson's estate is worth. Let me see. In 2021, the tax court issued a ruling in favor of the estate, ruling that the estate's total combined value of the estate was $111.5 million. That's nothing compared to $700 million. And the value of Jackson's name and likeness was $4 million, not the $61 million estimated by the IRS's outside expert witness. Now, they could be lying because tax courts, you're going to lie. Like 50 lied about the bankruptcy thing. He was talking about, you know, I'm not making much money, this and that. You can finesse and make it seem like it's not less. So I don't think it's $111 million. That's really low considering for Michael Jackson's like level. But $700 million is a lot of money to owe. So we'll keep our eyes posted. The kids are not going to get paid at all anymore. Nobody's going to get paid until the IRS gets paid. That's how they work. They're going to jump in and take whatever they want to take. So yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted, and hopefully this gets resolved because, you know, Michael Jackson worked his ass off, not just for the government to be taking everything. So yeah, we'll see. This is hilarious what I'm going to be talking about right now, because Biggie's mom responded to all of Diddy's, basically all the lawsuits that he's faced, you know, the surveillance video footage that came out, and she responded viciously and in a funny way. So let's go over the article. The notorious B.I.G. and Diddy took hip-hop to unprecedented heights in the 90s, but even their rich history together isn't enough for the late rapper's mother to ignore the multiple sexual assault and rape allegations. The latter is currently negotiating. In a Rolling Stone article published on Thursday, May 30th, Violetta Wallace shared her thoughts on Bad Boy Records mogul getting caught assaulting his former partner, Cassie, on camera while discussing the lawsuits filed against him in recent months. This is what she had to say. I'm sick to my stomach. I'm praying for Cassie. I'm praying for his mother. I don't want, to believe the things that I've heard, but I've seen the hotel video. I pray that he apologizes to her. I hope that I see Sean one day, and this is savage, and the only thing I want to do is slap the daylights out of him. And you can quote me on that because I liked him. I didn't want to believe all the awful things, but I'm so ashamed and embarrassed. She concluded, he needs to apologize to his mother. I hope to God he sits her down and spills his guts and apologizes to her. Yeah, I think a lot of people want to slap the shit out of Diddy. 50 even chimed in and said he wants to slap the shit out of Diddy. He posted the article and said, LOL, I want to slap the shit out of him too. I think a lot of people want to slap the shit out of him. So it's comforting to know that Biggie's mom is, not on Diddy's side in any way, shape, or form. We went over in the last podcast, Rolling Stone's article, and how there were reports based off of people that were around Diddy saying that Diddy was jealous of Tupac and Biggie's relationship. What does that add to? It adds to the fact that there's like a conspiracy theory kind of rumor thing around that Diddy had a hand in both of the artists dying, Tupac and Biggie, not just Tupac, because right now the main thing is Tupac. Hey, he had a $1 million hit on him. Boom, Keefe did his thing, killed him, didn't collect on the money, but somebody else did collect on the money. But on the Biggie thing, there's been kind of rumors here and there that, Diddy had a part with potentially getting Biggie killed. But with these new allegations and then his mom jumping in and all this other stuff, it's kind of making more sense. If he was jealous of the relationship, why wouldn't this guy, end it all? Because, well, Biggie wanted to leave eventually Bad Boy Records. That was the word around. Like, Biggie would speak around people around him and would say, hey, the plan is to eventually leave Bad Boy Records and develop our own thing. And I'm sure Tupac would have done the same thing as the years went on as well, because these two are too big. Mind you, these two died in their mid-20s, very young. They still had a long career to go. So they would have eventually started their own thing and done their own thing. That's just the natural course of things. Of every artist that you've seen, usually starts under somebody or they start on their own already off the rip. And Jay-Z, Dame Dash, started together, boom. Eventually Jay-Z splits, does his own thing. Eminem never split with Dr. Dre, but he started Shady Records, his own thing, his own brand. Anybody, Drake, starts with Young Money, starts his own thing. OVO is now his own thing. You could throw a lot of people that started under other people, eventually grow and become their own thing. Kendrick Lamar, PG Lang, his own thing. He left TDE now, is on his own thing with PG Lang. So eventually, Biggie would have done the same thing. He realized that, hey, my publishing isn't the proper thing as well, because now we know that after all these years, a lot of artists have complained about Diddy not giving proper publishing to his artists, and now that he released it after all these years, the publishing isn't worth much. So now people are still complaining and saying, yeah, you released the publishing, but after 30 years later, when people aren't even listening to the song anymore, like that. There's been, like, where there's smoke, there's fire. That's the same thing that I've applied when it comes to this Diddy stuff. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I wouldn't be surprised if there's been so many stories of Diddy being envious of Tupac, trying to copy his style, his everything. And I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happened with Biggie, and he was like, I don't like their relationship. I don't like that they're really close and cool together. Maybe they're talking about leaving. Biggie's talking about leaving me with Tupac, and who knows? So it's just refreshing to hear Biggie's mom speak on this and, say something that I think a lot of people are feeling. They want to smack the shit out of Diddy for all the bad things he's done. A lot of people want to do that. So Diddy's pretty much finished. Once the indictment comes in, it's over. I don't see it going any other way. Now, could he get a reduced sentence? Maybe. Could he throw other people under the bus, other celebrities, to get a reduced sentence or potentially not face any, prison time or anything like that? Yeah. They'll be like, okay, we got you, Diddy. We caught you in all these things. But who else can you throw under the bus? Anybody that's close to you that rocks you, does the same thing, let us know. In Hollywood, what's going on? Which I doubt will happen because, we have the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, and that's not even, the list hasn't even come out of the official names. It's been like some random names of people. It's like, so I doubt that will happen just because Hollywood's too protected like that. But, Diddy's going to face some type of criminal charges, but it's not going to be, I don't see Diddy going away for life or anything like that. I just don't. At that level, like, he's going to find a way to finesse his way out of the situation in one way or another. Or he's going to do a little time, or maybe just community service type stuff, probation. who knows? But we'll see. I don't know. I don't know the extent of what information they got. But yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted. And shout out to Biggie's mom for, keeping it real. Freeway, I just wanted to cover this. Shout out to him. He got honored with his own day in Philly. So let's go over the article. Freeway has been honored with his own day in his beloved home city of Philadelphia, PA. According to Philadelphia Tribune, the rapper was honored by the city on Thursday, May 30th. The city council declared June 1st as Philadelphia Freeway Day in the city. By the way, Freeway actually asked the real Rick Ross, Freeway Rick Ross, if he could use the Freeway name. So salute to him, got his approval. Unlike William Roberts, who just stole somebody's whole identity and ran with it. The rapper was commended for his commitment to mental health initiatives and for founding the nonprofit Freedom Thinkers Academy. One of the things Freeway does is he makes himself, as a black man, extremely vulnerable as it relates to social and emotional things we go through that often puts us in a position where we experience some type of trauma but don't want to get help, said City Councilman Isaiah Thomas to the outlet. He continued, his song, I Cry, is a testament to maybe the foresight he had as it relates to where his journey would go and the impact he would have on vulnerable communities to put people in the position to be able to be comfortable being themselves. Talking to his Instagram on the same day, Freeway thanked the city council's officials for the honor. I'm certain that if my children and my father were here today, they would have filled me with immense joy. This day has been remarkable highlight in my journey, a privilege that is rare to hold. The city of Philadelphia has graced me with an exceptional honor, thanks to Councilman Kenyatta Johnson of the 2nd District. Henceforth, June 1st will be celebrated as Philadelphia Freeway Day, a testament to the city's spirit of brotherhood. My deepest appreciation goes out to all for their steadfast love and support towards the Freedom Thinkers Academy. Round of applause, man. Shout out to Freeway, good person, great rapper. Yeah, man. He's dealt with a lot of problems in his life and always had a positive outlook, man. Losing your kids is probably, I don't have kids, but I'm sure when I do, you never plan for your, like as a parent, you don't think your kid's gonna die before you. That's just not the natural life of things. But things happen in life, unfortunately, and sometimes parents lose their kids, and that's the worst feeling. I could imagine. I don't even have kids, but I just can imagine that's probably one of the worst feelings in life. And he's always dealt with those things with a positive mindset and consistently motivates and pushes things forward in his community. So shout out to him. He's doing what Meek Mill should be doing a lot more of instead of just talking on Instagram and Twitter and just, saying things. Now, has Meek Mill done a lot? Yes. I'm not critiquing him and saying that he hasn't done much of anything, but Meek Mill needs to put a lot more focus. Like, see, you don't hear Freeway, right, talking about random things and getting into random arguments and shit. Like, just do the work, bro. Like, you ain't got to tweet things out. You ain't got to always say, hey, I'm out here being an activist, doing these type of things. Like, we get it. You do it, good. You should be doing it out of the love of your heart, not for the recognition and the media coverage, right? So shout out to Freeway, man. Great guy, and dealt through a lot of things, and he's dealt with it with the most grace possible. So shout out to him and congratulations to him. DMX, his estate has done a deal to properly handle his posthumous music releases and the music he has currently out right now. So let's go over the article. DMX's estate has reportedly signed a new deal to ensure his music lives on. According to Billboard, the late rapper's family has partnered with Artist Legacy Group, which is ALG, making them the estate's exclusive and global representative. The deal will see X's family and Artist Legacy Group working together on innovative projects for fans, industry insiders, and music enthusiasts around the world. A force of nature, this is how I described DMX, Austin said of DMX in a statement. Rapper, poet, actor, preacher, the man's talent was truly limitless. I am honored to work alongside Desiree and Sasha as we maximize the estate's potential. Together, we will ensure that his message and music lives on. DMX's fiancée, Desiree Lindstorm, and daughter, Sasha Simmons, who are co-administrators of the estate, believe ALG can continue his legacy in the right way. Earl was devoted to his fans. He was grateful that they stayed by his side and walked with him through his ups and downs, Lindstorm said. Sasha and I are confident that ALG is the right team to partner with to honor Earl's music and legacy. For my son and all of Earl's children and fans, we will keep Earl's spirit alive. Sasha added, my father Earl was more than an icon. He was my inspiration and guiding light. His music touched countless lives, and his legacy will forever resonate in our hearts. With ALG by our side, Desiree and I are committed to preserving his spirit, ensuring that his art continues to inspire generations to come. Shout out to them, man. Hopefully this deal goes, best prayers that hopefully this deal goes good, because a lot of, if you sign the wrong deal, things can go left and people take advantage. But, we had those random songs that were DMX AI songs, not even real, that people were profiting off of. I never checked to see if they got removed off the platforms. I'm sure they did, because it caught headlines all over the place. But, it's unfortunate. With AI coming about, there's going to be a lot of questions about the artists that have already passed away that didn't get a chance to speak on AI. There's going to be a lot of questions about, should we use their voice to continuously make music from them? The artists that are alive right now, they can still speak on it and make a clear, hey, when I die, my estate, they can use AI voices. When I die, my estate, they can't use AI voices. They can only use what I got. So that's an interesting question that we've talked about countless times on the podcast. But since DMX has passed away already before the AI stuff, will his wife, kids, will they decide, hey, the AI thing is good to go and we can create more music? But the only thing I ask from that is, hey, if the parents are cool with it, or whatever, the parents, the children, whatever, the fiance, wife, whoever, if they're cool with it, I'm cool with it because they're cool with it, right? But I do hope that they make it clear that this is AI. Like, I don't want an AI song and a real song intertwined into one album, and we don't know the difference between, what's what. Because eventually we're not going to be able to detect what's AI. I did at least with this Drake and Kendrick thing. When that Drake song came out, Push Ups, I said it was not AI. This is Drake. You can tell. There's so many different things that you can tell that it's not AI. But a lot of people struggled. Like, this is AI. This is not real, blah, blah, blah. So with these artists that passed away already, it's going to be interesting to see how they maneuver through this AI stuff. I think, just depends on the family, man. If they feel like it's the right thing to do, then hey, why not, man? Why should we have an issue with it? If their parents say, or the parents, whatever, wife, whoever, kids, if they say it's cool, it's cool. The only problem I have is if they don't tell us, right? Like the Michael Jackson album that came out after he died, I think they had a determination like 7 or 8 tracks were a fake Michael Jackson that was singing them. That's different. Like, now fans that went to go buy the album and stream it, all that stuff. Actually, streaming wasn't available in 2010 like that. But whatever, went to go buy the album. They feel like they got gypped. They got tricked out of something. And I don't want to feel like that. I want to know, hey, this is AI. This is, this is the real thing, and blah, blah, blah. But that's my take on it. But yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted, and hopefully, this is a great deal for DMX because, he deserves a proper taking care of his music and his legacy. Rihanna has officially broken records that no female has ever broken in the history of music. Yes, in the history of music, Rihanna is the first one to do it, so let's go over it. Rihanna has broken 2 more records as she now has become the female artist with both the most diamond singles and the most diamond certified songs. Yes, diamond, which is 10 million sold, technically with streams. It's like, not physically somebody bought, 10 million people bought a copy of the singles, but with streams, buying all that. The RIAA is reporting that as of Friday, May 30th, 4 singles, Needed Me, Work, Umbrella, and Stay, were bestowed with the honor, which means they've each moved at least 10 million units, with a unit being 1 physical sale or digital download or 150 on-demand audio or video streams. That brings the singer's total number of diamond songs to 7. The aforementioned 4 singles alongside We Found Love, the Eminem collaboration Love the Way You Lie, and appropriately named Diamonds. The Fenty billionaire, too, shared the good news on her Instagram page on the same day, and she said, "Ain't no back and forth," she wrote in the caption. Ain't no back. You can't talk to me. There ain't no damn back and forth in this shit. I got 7 diamond singles. Who the fuck are you? That's what Rihanna said, basically. I'm speaking. I'm a spokesperson for Rihanna, so I'm speaking through her. Ain't no fucking back and forth. You talking shit to me? Anyways, most diamond singles for a female artist and the most certified titles for most diamond certified titles for a female artist. Hey, man, round of applause. Congratulations. I don't know what else to say. Let me actually go on the website. I'm just curious to see. What's funny is the work record doesn't credit Drake. So he doesn't get added to the list, which is like, I don't know how that works. That makes no sense. Like, Drake is on the song. Why isn't he credited on the song as a single? But yeah, a bunch of her singles got updated. I mean, we're talking Sex With Me, Shut Up and Drive. Shut Up and Drive. Shout out to Rihanna, man. She got hits on hits. Cockiness, 4 or 5 Seconds. Damn, a lot of these songs are like 5 times platinum, 4 times, 3 times. Listen, Rihanna has released music in ages, man. In ages. When's the last time she released an album? That shit was like probably 2017, I think. 2018, if I'm... Let me see. She's a billionaire right now, so I don't think she really gives 2 fucks about releasing music. 2016, I was wrong. 2016. It's about to be... Yeah, we're looking at 8 years right now. It's about to be 10 years. But yeah, Stay is 11 times platinum. Umbrella, Ella, Diamond. Work, 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 work. Diamond. Needed Me. I don't know that song. Diamond. Yeah, she's just... Damn, shout out to her, man. Astronomical numbers. Like, I just wish, man, my favorite artists would get updated more on these damn platinum shit, because I'm tired of this shit. I gotta look at 50 not having a diamond album in America with Get Rich or Die Trying yet. Some bullshit, because they don't update this shit. It was taking 10 years to update it, man. At least you got some of the stuff updated. But some of these artists don't get none of this shit updated. We're talking, when did Dr. Dre, we went over this shit. Dr. Dre, that motherfucker ain't got shit updated in ages. Like, what? Why not update it, man? I Need a Doctor. Look. I Need a Doctor was updated in 2011. That was double platinum. Right now, it's probably at least 5 times platinum. The Chronic, listen, look, Chronic is 3 times platinum, and that was in 1993. We are in 2024, 31 years later, and there hasn't been a single certification update on that. That shit's diamond by now, I bet. If it was 3 times platinum back then, shit's diamond right now. That's my problem, is like a lot of these artists and just people in general don't get their certifications updated. Some artists do, and shout out to them. They get the benefit and luck of that, but other artists don't. So regardless, congratulations to Rihanna, man. Round of applause to her. Great feat, and, you know, breaking records, that's the best way to do it. And hopefully she comes back to making music, because I personally really liked her music. I think she's a talented artist, and, you know, I would love to hear more of her. And I mean, I don't blame her. She's got kids now with A$AP Rocky. She's, you know, got the Fenty thing going on, the makeup line that's making billions and billions of dollars. So, you know, she'll probably go into music when she feels it's the right time and just the sound is right. Because why return to music when you're breaking all these records still? So shout out to her. We'll keep our eyes posted and see if she breaks any more records. Check it. Guess who's back? Back again. Shout out to Eminem, man. I went to YouTube Live, reacted to the Eminem's Houdini single that came out. Come to find out, music video came out, so reacted to that. Check out the personal YouTube page that I have. That's Quake. It's on my podcast page and my YouTube main page. You can go subscribe to that, where I posted a video reacting to it. But I want to talk about Eminem's first single, Houdini, because it's broken records for Eminem standards and for 2024. So let's talk about it. So according to chart data, Eminem has earned his highest debut ever for a song on streaming platforms for him. This is solely for him, though. You know, we're not talking like all time. We're just talking for his records. And this is impressive because Eminem's been around since the late 90s. We're talking 2024. For him to be still breaking records of his own career as well is amazing, man. It's a round of applause. So Eminem, according to chart data, has earned his highest streaming debut on Spotify with Houdini, which got 7.85 million streams in its first day. Now, here's the interesting fact, right? If the Drake and Kendrick Lamar thing never happened, right? So let's just say in 2024, that beef never happened. Eminem right now in 2024 would have the highest streaming song debut first day of 2024. So far. So we're in May or June basically right now. So, you know, would somebody potentially be able to break that? Yeah. But Eminem, without the beef, just dropping a song with no beef involved. Besides, I mean, you could kind of say beef involved. He dissed Megan Thee Stallion, had a fun play with R. Kelly, blah, 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 whatever. Controversial stuff, but not official beef, right? Back and forth. But just a controversial record, whatever. Who cares? 7.85, basically 7.9 million. The list this year is Meet the Grams at 5.1 million. We Don't Trust You at 5.3 million. By the way, this is like all beef records, basically. besides like a few. Family Matters at 5.4 million. Ben for Ben. We can go Ben for Ben. Central C and Lil Baby at 5.4 million as well. Drake Push-Ups at 5.6 million. Type Shit, Future, Metro Boomin, that record, 6 million. Carnival, yeah, cars, you dig the Carnival, 6.5 million. Kanye West with that and Ty Dolla $ign. Like That at 7.4 million on its debut. And then Houdini is at 7.9 million. So let's just say Like That still came out regardless of the diss. It beat Like That, even with that Kendrick verse diss. And it beat Drake's Push-Ups. It beat Drake's Family Matters as well. The only ones it didn't beat, the only person that got ahead of him is obviously Kendrick Lamar with Euphoria, which did 9.2 million in streams on its debut, and Not Like Us, which did 13.1 million. So if it wasn't for the beef, Eminem right now would have had the largest streaming song in hip-hop in 2024. What does that say? That says this guy is as relevant as ever. And we're talking about a guy who's had a career well over 25 years now. When did the first album come out? 1999, right? I don't really count Eminem as like, I don't know. I know people like to say a 90s artist, but I mean, he was like at the tail end of the 90s, like literally right at the end. But I guess, I mean, you could say like, hey, you know, he dropped an album in the 90s, so he's still a 90s artist, quote unquote. But, you know, people say he dominated 4 different decades. I wouldn't really count the 90s because it's, you know, did he really dominate the late 90s? Nah, I think he was just getting his foot in, and he did a great job, don't get me wrong, but he didn't dominate. So the Slim Shady LP came out in 1999. When did it come out? February 23rd, 1990. So he literally had like 1 year of the 90s. That's it. So when people say like, oh, he's been dominating since the 90s till now, it's like you're kind of stretching the 90s for him. But that's not to say that this guy has literally been dominating 2000s, 2010s, and now 2020s. Like, who the fuck is doing that? You name me. Jay-Z has fell the fuck off. Hasn't dropped an album since 2017 solo album. Nas did his thing, and he's been relevant, but he hasn't been like, you know, having a high streaming song that's charting and doing amazing. He's been doing good in terms of like hip hop reception. But who from the 90s or even the early, let's just say early 2000s, is doing what Eminem's doing right now? I can't think of a single one from the early 2000s. Literally, not even just pop. Even you can just go into the pop route. You can go to Britney Spears. You can go to NSYNC. You can go to Backstreet Boys. You can go to Justin Timberlake. You can go to whoever from the early 2000s. I can't think off the top of my head right now who's still dominating. That's like round of applause, man. I don't give a fuck what you think about the song. I don't give a fuck what you think about the music video. In my opinion, this Eminem song has had the best reception it's had. Like, this is the best Eminem single reception in years. Because first off, we haven't had Eminem actually drop a single and promote the album. And he hasn't done that since 2017 with Revival, which was a horror show. That was a horrible thing. And then before that, he did the Marshmallows LP 2, which was obviously a great success. The Monster with Rihanna did amazing numbers, but that didn't involve streaming. So now that he's actually dropping singles, he can, like, you know, play around with the streaming thing, drop a single, see how it does. And obviously he's doing amazing. He's got the highest song, not including the beef with Drake and Kendrick Lamar in hip-hop. Including it, he's the top 3. He's in the top 3. This is a guy that came out in 1999. Like, what more, you know, I don't understand how anybody can clown this guy, regardless of what you think about the music, right? Like, just say, fuck the song, he's acting like a child, Slim Shady, blah, blah, whatever. That's your opinion, cool. But women line, men line numbers, dope. The numbers are there, and Eminem has delivered. I love the song. I think it is it's what I expected from Slim Shady. That's the difference here. We're talking about Slim Shady. This is Slim Shady style. This is what Slim Shady does. Pokes the bear, trolls. You got a bunch of attacks from Megan Thee Stallion fans. The Siamese, whatever, the transgender, whatever he said, whatever the hell he said in the Siamese bars. You got attacked for that. Classic Slim Shady. Everybody gets mad, uproar, stuff like that. I'm surprised that people still fall for it after all these years. Like, but then there's kids that never heard of Slim Shady, never even heard of Eminem's old music. That were born in like 2005. That had no idea what the fuck was Eminem doing. Even if you count Relapse, because Relapse is like the last time he had like the jokey, because he came out with We Made You, and that was like a jokey trolling type of song. But let's just say they were born in 2005, 2009. They were 4 years old, so they didn't know. So like most of the fans that are reacting to it that are fans of Megan Thee Stallion probably never heard of Eminem. They weren't even born when he was at his peak and prime. So Shout out to Eminem, man. Great numbers, and I'm excited for the album. I like the first single. I'm disappointed. I'm not saying I'm disappointed in terms of Alchemist producing it, because Alchemist is an amazing producer. I like the production on it. I'm disappointed in the fact that I want an Eminem album produced by Eminem and Dr. Dre solely. That's when Eminem's at his best. Every album that I've loved from Eminem has come from that type of production, in my eyes. Eminem Show and Relapse are two of my favorite Eminem albums, and they came from that production. So I hope this is just a single that we get that type of production. I hope we get more Eminem and Dr. Dre. But yeah, once again, man, salute to Eminem, and we'll keep our eyes posted and see how they're performing, how the song performs, and where it debuts in the Billboard Hot 100. That's another thing that we'll see. It's probably going to be top 10. I don't know if it'll be number 1, because there's just a lot of songs out there that are doing a lot of numbers, and we'll see how it does in streaming as the days go on. But, you know, we'll see. It'll definitely debut in the top 10. I'm willing to bet like 5, 6, 7, maybe around there. I don't know, maybe even top 5. There's a chance that could be top 5. Yeah, I'm willing to bet top 5. I'll bet top 5. Top 10, 100%. Top 5, 80%. Top 3, you're looking at 60% in my eyes. And then number 1 would be like a 50% chance, 40 to 50% chance. That's my take on it. So, yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted and see what happens. But shout out to Eminem. Can't wait for the album. Before we continue, I want to give a shout out to Golden Eagle for sponsoring this podcast. Yes, if it wasn't for Golden Eagle, this podcast wouldn't be possible. If you're looking for an energy drink that doesn't tear a hole in your pocket, Golden Eagle energy drink is the one you want to get. Golden Eagle has the smoothest taste with no aftertaste. You don't get acid reflux when you drink it, and you will save a lot of money. So check out Golden Eagle at drinkgoldeneagle.com/DMP. The link is in the description below. And how do you think this podcast would be possible without me having energy to do it? Come on, guys. You guys got to remember this. I need energy to do this stuff, man, because there's a lot of crazy topics. So look how smooth this thing sounds. Look at it. Oh, my God. It's fresh. Look at that Golden Eagle. Look at the can. It's so beautiful, too, man. Look at that. That's so fresh, man. So fresh. Golden Eagle energy drink. Go to the link description below. That's drinkgoldeneagle.com/DMP. Let's continue the episode. And finally, the breakdown of Kendrick Lamar's Meet the Grams. I initially waited a long time to break this down because the artwork was something that had a lot of theories to it of what's on the artwork cover, who distributed that information to Kendrick Lamar. Is it real? Is it planted by Drake? All these theories that surround the artwork. And there was somebody that came out on Twitter and basically said, hey, I'm the mole in the camp of Drake's OVO, and, you know, I'm the one that fed Kendrick the information, and I want to break that down, break down the artwork, and just make it as simple as possible without going into too many theories, because there are so many theories online of, you know, who's telling the truth and who's not, that it just gets utterly confusing, and it just gets draining after I've, you know, looked into it for all these weeks. Is just too much stuff going on. So I'm going to break down what I think it is based on the information I have. And any other theory that's out there, you guys can kind of have fun with it and play around with it. I'm not going to do that. I'm just interested in the facts and what can be proven. The other stuff is just rambling about other things that, you know, really don't lead to much. So let's break down the Meet the Grams track, the title, the artwork, and then the lyrics. So with that being said, let's get into it. And this track came out right after Drake dropped Family Matters. It was probably 20, 30 minutes right after, and it shocked the world. Everybody was in shock that Kendrick immediately responded, but this backed up the theory that Kendrick Lamar had a mole in Drake's camp, because how did he know to immediately respond right when Drake dropped Family Matters? And the titles are very interesting. So the title of Kendrick Lamar's diss is Meet the Grams, which is essentially meeting Drake's family, because Drake's last name is Graham. So meet the Grams, meet the father, the son, you know, the whatever, all the family members, and even the supposed daughter that Drake has. So that title plays on the title of Drake's Family Matters. So what Kendrick Lamar is flipping that Family Matters title and saying, yeah, family matters, so you should be caring about your son, you should be caring about the well-being of your mom and dad, and you should be caring about that daughter that you're hiding from the world. The song is produced by Alchemist, so shout out to him. He's a great producer, and he completely nailed it. I mean, it's a dark theme, and it's very, very intriguing when you listen to it. So let's go over the artwork. and this is where mainly the bulk of the video is going to be at, I'm assuming. The artwork, if you go on iTunes, is just blacked out. And there's a reason why. He can't use that specific artwork he dropped on just YouTube because HIPAA laws. HIPAA is privacy rights in terms of people's medical information and stuff like that. And on the artwork, there is medical information that, you know, ties to Drake, Aubrey Graham on the artwork. So you can't just take that artwork and, you know, put it on iTunes because that violates HIPAA laws. And that, you know, could cause a huge lawsuit for Kendrick Lamar if Drake wanted to go that route. The artwork is an expanded version of the Kendrick Lamar 616 in LA track that he dropped. In that artwork, he had just a glove. And then in this artwork, it's everything. It's the glove. It's a T-shirt. It's Ozempic that's prescribed to Drake. It's a jewelry receipt. And it's other things. And this plays off of the 616 in LA because in that track, he says, Drake, you have a mole in your camp. A mole is an informant, somebody that's undercover, that is gathering information from that specific person, which would be Drake, and feeding it to the person's enemy or the ops or whatever, whoever, the police, whatever the case may be. In this case, it would be information being fed to Kendrick Lamar. That is a mole. That is an undercover person that's pretending to be on the other person's side, but really is on the other side. In the artwork, let's break down each item that's in there. The Maybach glove could just be poking fun at Rick Ross, but people have speculated that this is an item that Drake used and actually wore, you know, and then it was thrown away. The initial theory was that Drake's dad had these items and threw them away, and that somebody recovered them, and that's how Kendrick Lamar got, you know, these items and used it as a mole theory. But that was debunked very quickly, and even academics backtracked on that. It turns out these items got discarded in a hotel area, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But first, let's talk about the items. The glove, Maybach glove, could be poking fun at Rick Ross, but people are saying that Drake is the one that used the glove. The T-shirt doesn't really mean much, at least from what I've seen in terms of theories around there. It doesn't have much meaning to it. People were saying, though, that the Shorty collection is proof that Drake planted the items, because Shorty, meaning he's short, Kendrick Lamar is short. That's kind of the theory that's going on, at least with the shirt. But, you know, there really hasn't been any proof of that. So the shirt doesn't really mean too much. The items in there is what's the most important. So the Maybach glove, the shirt, you know, they're little items here and there, but they're nothing too important. The fine jewelry receipt. There's surveillance footage that shows Drake was actually at this area in New York at the time. The date of the receipt is July 17th, 2023. So this is quite some time ago, literally basically one summer ago. He bought this. And the reason why Kendrick Lamar had this receipt in the artwork is because Drake, if you don't know, at the end of the Family Matters music video, he holds up what looks like an engagement ring on his neck. And he wants people to think that he actually bought the ring that Kendrick Lamar had thought about buying for his wife to marry her, because he's just engaged to her, not fully married to her. You got to, you know, buy a ring, propose, all that stuff. But Kendrick Lamar responded by dropping this artwork right after 20-30 minutes of Drake dropping Family Matters. He dropped Meet the Grams. And in the artwork, he has this receipt showing people that, hey, this is a jewelry piece that he bought a while ago that he's trying to pass off as a piece that I was going to use to propose to my wife with. So that's the significance of the receipt of the jewelry piece. The yellow note is the same thing of him buying jewelry. It's just a receipt. It's a copy that, you know, jewelry places keep for records of what they sold. They write names down. Drake's name is written down, so on and so forth. In the artwork, there are 2 pill bottles. One is Adderall and one is Zolpidem. And Aubrey Graham's name is both on them, which is Drake's real name. Adderall is just a drug used to maintain focus. If you have ADHD and you can't really focus, Adderall helps you do that. Zolpidem is a drug that helps you sleep. If you have trouble sleeping, it's something that you take to help you sleep. And then in the bottom right of the artwork, you see a box and it's Ozempic. Ozempic is that weight loss drug that Drake was trolling Rick Ross about using. And, you know, Kendrick Lamar has trolled Drake about using it because of the 6-pack abs, that, you know, it's fake, and he's been using all these drugs and, you know, this BBL, Drizzy, that type of stuff, where he's getting procedures done to make himself look slimmer and better. And, you know, he's not really working out, you know, to get the results. He's using quick methods of drugs to try to get, or surgeries to try to get the results that he wants. So on this actual prescription is Drake's name as well, Aubrey Graham, and it's Ozempic, and it's a fairly small dose, but it's still Ozempic. So that's the breakdown of the items on the artwork. Now let's talk about each person's side of the story. Let's start with Kendrick, let's go to Drake, and then let's go to the middleman, which is the quote-unquote mole in the situation. The person on Twitter that came out with video footage that he has the items and that, it had to do with a bunch of stuff relating to a hotel and all that. So first, Kendrick Lamar's side is that there is a mole in Drake's camp, an OVO, and he got these items through that mole. And the way Kendrick Lamar backs that is the fact that he knew that Drake was going to drop Family Matters, knew the title, so then he dropped Meet the Grams, which plays on Family Matters because, hey, in the track and Meet the Grams, I'm talking about how much family is important, and in your title, you have Family Matters. Then, of course, he knew at the end of the music video, Drake was going to have that ring on his neck. That implies that Drake bought the wedding ring that Kendrick Lamar was supposed to use to propose to his wife. And of course, in the verses and the bars, you can hear that. So Kendrick Lamar proved that he had a mole by immediately responding to what Drake did in Family Matters. And then he dropped, obviously, the receipt for the jewelry, and within 20, 30 minutes, matched the title to play off the title and dropped a song knowing that Drake was going to respond. So the theory that Kendrick Lamar knew something about Drake before everybody else did, and the theory that he has a mole in there backs it up with this. And the reason why is because you can't respond that quickly to something if you don't know what's going on. He clearly knew he had some type of inside intel to respond that quickly to Drake. So that's Kendrick Lamar's side where, he said in 616 in LA that Drake has a mole, and you have people that don't like you and that you can't trust an OVO. He's proved that with this artwork, with the song Meet the Grams, playing off of Family Matters. Drake's side in this is that he knew who the mole was and fed that mole fake information. And how Drake backs this up is the fact that Kendrick Lamar mentions Drake having a daughter in Meet the Grams. And after the Meet the Grams song came out, within 10 minutes on Instagram, Drake responded and said this on Instagram. He posted a photo with him looking disappointed. In the caption, he put a bunch of laughing emojis and says, "Nah, hold on. Can someone find my hidden daughter, please, and send her to me? These guys are in shambles," with more laughing emojis. So he's saying, hey, this guy's obviously telling lies. He got fed fake information. And then he went on to basically, on the Heart Part 6, which I'll break down later on, and, other breakdowns when I actually get to that track, he basically says he fed him this fake information, that Kendrick Lamar fell for it. That the mole that Kendrick Lamar had, Drake already knew who that was and was purposely feeding him fake information. And the running joke online was that why would, Drake feed Kendrick Lamar information about him being, a pedophile? But that wasn't the information that Drake was implying he fed. He's implying that he fed that fake daughter information and all that pill stuff, all the artwork stuff, all that's fake. He's saying that whole t-shirt thing, the shorty, it's a shorty collection, it's a joke. That's what the fake information that he's saying he fed. But this doesn't really make sense, and here's why it doesn't make sense. I'm not saying that Drake completely lied, but if you're going to feed somebody fake information and they drop a track with that fake information, why wouldn't you let it simmer a little bit more? Let it go on for days. Let people think that you actually have a daughter for days, and then come out with a diss track completely clowning, Kendrick of having fake information and proving that you don't have a daughter. I don't know how you would be able to prove that. I don't know what way you would have to go in that, but I would, if I was feeding somebody fake information, I would let it simmer just a little bit longer to make the other person look a lot dumber. But in this situation, he immediately responded back to it on Instagram, which shows that Drake probably, had no idea what Kendrick Lamar was going to say or what theory he was having out there. Because the second he responded and debunked it, it made it seem a little bit weird, like Drake didn't even know what was going on. On the other hand, though, it looks like Kendrick Lamar knew what was going on, because you have the title Family Matters, then you have a title come out right after, 20 minutes later, titled Meet the Grams, which is a play on that title. Then you have that artwork come out. Drake's side of the story that he planted the information based off that quick response doesn't make sense. But the theory that, Drake did plant a mole to feed him that fake information can also be real, because there is no official daughter that's come out that is actually Drake's. And Kendrick Lamar's camp and team says that they would never put out that information because that's a child at the end of the day, and they don't want that child getting harassed by social media and people. So, you know, we don't know who to believe in this situation. I'm not going to take either side because there isn't proof that officially Drake has a daughter. There's been theories. There's been, you know, hey, is it this person? Is it that person? But, hey, we don't know right now. Who knows? Maybe in the future when that daughter becomes 18 years old, if there actually is a daughter, that she'll come out and say, hey, this is, you know, my father, blah, 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 blah. But we got to also remember, celebrities might be public figures, but they don't have to release all their information out for the world. There are celebrities that have kids that nobody knows about. That's just the reality situation. Some celebrities don't like telling the whole world of what their private business is. So there could actually be a daughter, but we don't know. Right now is just speculation on Kendrick Lamar's end with Meet the Grams. Now let's talk about the middle person. This is a person on Twitter/X that came out on the date of May 10th and created an account called Ebony Prince 2K24. And the first video this person dropped was a video of Meet the Grams in the background, and this person's going over all the items on the Meet the Grams artwork. The pills, the jewelry receipt, the shirt, all that stuff. And in the caption, the person writes this: number one, King Kendrick Lamar is not a liar, and I'm not a thief. So he debunks everything Drake said on the Heart Part 6, and just the fact that, you know, Drake fed the mole fake information, stuff like that. And that potentially items got stolen because of Drake's dad potentially left a suitcase, and the theory was out there that somebody took Drake's dad's suitcase and got these items like that. He says, number two, Aubrey Graham, a.k.a. Drake, and Mr. Livingston Allen, a.k.a. Academics, have until noon Monday, May 13, 2024, to retract their claims of theft, or my attorney, Miss Adrienne Edward, and I will exhaust every legal option available. Well, as the weeks went on, there was no legal action. Academics responded to it saying, threatening the person, basically saying, you know, sue me. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just reporting like everybody else is reporting. And nothing really has come out of it, you know, with that threat. This person has released a lot of different things that insinuated a lot of things. After that, he posted security video footage of the Mark Hotel, which is a fancy hotel in New York. This is a hotel that is used by celebrities, mainly when the Met Gala happens, that insane fashion show that all celebrities go to. That hotel is booked. All the celebrities booked there. A lot of celebrities booked there. There's been conspiracy theories of weird things happening at the hotel with celebrities that the staff keep quiet about, but there's no proof of that. That's just more conspiracy theories that are out there. But this person releases a still video footage of people in OVO suits, owls, you know, the OVO logo owl, and this person that looks like a kid. Initially, people thought it was a kid, but this is a journalist by the name of Chris Alvarez. And this journalist ended up meeting Drake. Christopher has this disorder called thanatophoric dysplasia. It is a severe skeletal disorder characterized by extremely short limbs and folds of extra redundant skin on arms and legs. So basically his body doesn't grow, and it's a disorder that he has, and people were speculating that first it was a kid, but then they found out it was this journalist. And the reason why this journalist is mentioned and he's in that footage is because this person that used to work for this Mark Hotel, used to be an employee there, alluded to the fact that Drake allegedly did something to this reporter, meaning abused this reporter in one way or another. So this reporter got dragged into all this stuff, and he had to come out with his own article and statement. And this is what he had to say. Let me go over the article. Alvarez has since been subject to intense online speculation and ugly rumors, including that Drake may have been involved in a physical altercation with him, flattening his enormous struggles and equally enormous accomplishments. He says, I don't know what any of this means, and I'll be amused, Alvarez told Eagle on Sunday. Although Alvarez uses a wheelchair, he gets around and enjoys rubbing shoulders with celebrities and international pop stars, including DJ Khaled, who gifted the reporter one of his chains in 2016. He has dreamed since of high school of becoming a broadcast journalist. One of those celebs was Drake. I was with Drake that night because we briefly met after dinner, but all the accusations are false, he said. What follows Alvarez's statement of facts, who he actually is, why people should stop spreading information about him, and how this whole debacle is not just hurting him, but others in the disability community. You know, he denied all those rumors that Drake did something to him, you know, physically assaulted him, all that stuff. He said he was just there that night to listen to music. However, the person, the Ebony Prince person, said that he was only in that hotel for a brief, 1 minute, and then got kicked out, that they abused him, kicked him out, blah, blah, blah. There really isn't too much proof, but if Christopher denies it, then he denies it. It's really just that simple. Looking in more into it, there really is no reason to. If the person denies it, it is what it is. It's done. Now, the reason why this hotel employee basically came out with this, stuff is that the fact that academics said it was stolen items. And that caused this person to not get paid by whoever was paying him for the items, which would be Kendrick Lamar's team or somebody or a mole that wanted to pay for the items. The hotel employee basically said that these items were discarded and that he collected the items. And he basically said, usually we discard these items, but because Drake's team and Drake was so aggressive towards the staff at the hotel and was mistreating the staff, that they wanted to kind of, have something to get back at Drake for. And this person that works at the hotel also has speculated that Drake, does things with minors in the hotel, and that this person is saying that, Drake has done all these things and that he's seen a lot of this stuff, but there hasn't been any proof provided. This person has just been tweeting things out with no real proof of anything. And he's gotten the attention for now, but a lot of people are starting to lose interest in what he's posting because he's not really posting anything. He's just alluding to a lot of things. But that's what this middle person is basically a former employee of that hotel room that managed to get his hands on some Drake items that Kendrick Lamar's team, quote unquote, was going to pay him for. But once academics said that, hey, these items were stolen, these items are not really, this was set up by Drake, so on and so forth, Kendrick Lamar's team allegedly didn't want to pay the person for the items. So that's why he's going out here and basically coming out with all these tweets and theories and stuff. That's the essential breakdown of the artwork without going into too many crazy theories out there that are, there's so many different theories. It is ridiculous. You could go through rabbit holes of theories for the next 3 to 4 hours if you really wanted to. And a lot of it is very misleading and very confusing. So I didn't want to put that in this video and just get you guys thinking of all kinds of random things. But there are theories that Drake allegedly did things with minors in there that the person hasn't proven, that this person is saying, hey, I have these video footage, the CCTV footage that I'm willing to release if Drake doesn't, comply and blah, 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 blah. Basically a bunch of threats that unless Drake does this or, denies this or says this, I won't do it. But so far, it's been roughly 3.5 weeks and nothing has come out. Basically about to be a month since he posted that video as of the making of this video, and nothing has come out. So that's why I'm not really entertaining all the theories that are out there, but that's the gist of it. Kendrick Lamar's side is that there is a mole, and that's how I got the information, which backs it up with a few things. And then Drake's side is that he fed the mole fake information, which also backs up his side with the daughter thing. So the middle person is saying, I'm an employee here. I had these items, and I was trying to sell it to, quote unquote, Kendrick Lamar's camp, allegedly, and it never went through because academics and Drake said it was fake, it was false information. So then now this person comes out with these CCTV footage and, the items and says, hey, Drake did this and this to this person and these people and minors and this and that. So there's really no proof for a lot of these things. There's really nothing that any of us can do unless there's actual footage that comes out months later, years later, then we'll know. But right now, everything is just conspiracy theory speculation for the most part. 80% of it is. The parts that were proven, I've already went over, and that's all that really matters right now. Now, finally, let's get into the bars. First verse, addressing Adonis, Drake's son. He says this, "Dear Adonis, I'm sorry that man is your father. Let me be honest. It takes a man to be a man. Your dad is not responsive. I look at him and wish your grandpa would have wore a condom. I'm sorry that you got to grow up and then stand behind him. Life is hard. I know the challenge is always going to beat us home. Sometimes our parents make mistakes that affect us until we are grown. And you're a good kid that needs good leadership." Now, these are pretty simple bars. Most of this track are simple. Basically saying your dad isn't responsible, deadbeat father, doesn't care to be in your life like that. Then he says your grandpa should have wore a condom, which is Drake's dad. He should have never had Drake, period. And then he's like, you can't stand behind somebody who hasn't had anything to stand on. He's not somebody with any morals and respect, which Kendrick Lamar doubles down on when he addresses Drake in the last verse. Then he says, and you're a good kid that needs good leadership. Let me be your mentor since your daddy don't teach you shit, which is a double down on Euphoria, where he says, you know, you don't teach your son nothing. Let me teach him some stuff. And then this is where he addresses a situation that was mentioned a while ago from Meek Mill when Drake and Meek Mill were beefing. He says, never let a man piss on your leg, son. Either you die right there or pop that man in the head, son. Now, this peeing on leg thing is something that Meek Mill revealed first in his diss track, Wanna Know. He said, you let Tip Homie piss on you in a movie theater, we ain't forget. And this is the theory that apparently T.I.'s friend who was drunk by the name of Cap during a movie premiere in Los Angeles for T.I.'s movie Takers ended up, pissing on Drake's leg, and Drake did nothing about that. And Kendrick Lamar is doubling down and saying, let me teach your son that, hey, if you get somebody, if a grown man pisses on you, you got to do something about that. T.I. ended up confirming the whole peeing incident and said in the track, we did it big. So drunk in L.A., end up pissing on Drake. Shit, fuck it. That's my brother since back in the trap house. So in these lines, he's saying, T.I.'s saying he's the one that did it instead of his friend. But we'll never know. Regardless, people have confirmed that it did happen. And in 2010, that's not one of the ways you want to go out. Then Kendrick continues and says, never fall in the escort business. That's bad religion. Please remember, you could be a bitch even if you got bitches. Here, Kendrick Lamar is saying that Drake hires a bunch of escorts, and he's always involved in that because Drake is known for always going to strip clubs and having fun with a bunch of women. So he's saying never fall for that escort business. That's bad religion, meaning morally it's bad and just overall it's bad because it ends up breeding bad family, bad environments. Then he says, please remember, you could be a bitch even if you got bitches, meaning, hey, doesn't matter if you got a bunch of women, you could still be corny. There's a lot of people that have money, success, a bunch of women, but they're still corny people. Then he says, never code switch, whether right or wrong, you're a black man. Code switching is when a person gets in front of a different region or style of people or different race of people and switches to their lingo in talking. And Drake does that. He's always captured different cultures and talks in their lingo and style. Jamaican, Toronto, whatever, because he's from Toronto, but he speaks like, Toronto accents. He speaks New York accents. He'll speak Houston. He'll speak Southern. He'll speak whatever style that's out there, he can adapt. And he tells, Adonis, don't ever do that. You have black in you. Be proud and be black and speak the proper way that we speak, regardless of, where you're at and what environment you're at. Because Drake has always switched environments. Then he continues and says, even if it don't benefit your goals, do some push-ups, get some discipline. Don't cut them corners like your daddy did. Fuck what Ozempic did. This is where he's clowning more, Drake of using Ozempic, which is a weight loss drug, and the BBL, getting the abs done, the surgery done to get his abs done. He's telling his son, don't be lazy like your father. Do it the hard way. Work hard to get that physical physique that you seek. He doubles down and says, don't pay to play with them Brazilians, which is talking about the BBL Brazilian. Get a gym membership. Understand, no throwing rocks and hiding hands. That's law. Don't be ashamed about who you with. That's how he treat your mom. In these understand line, he's saying, Drake is subliminal. He's always been subliminal. And throughout all these years, Drake and Kendrick Lamar have always thrown subliminals at each other. But he's saying Drake's the one that started it and keeps doing it. And if you look at the history, well, you can he backs that up because, it started with the Control verse that was direct. And then Drake started doing the Nothing Was the Same and throwing subliminals. And then, Kendrick Lamar responded to that album and it's been subliminals ever since until now. Then he says, don't be ashamed about who you with. That's how he treats your moms. Don't have a kid to hide again. Be sure. Now, this is playing on the whole thing of what Pusha T did. The story of Adidon, that Drake was hiding his son from the world and that he was ashamed to have a baby mama that was a former stripper and stuff like that. He's saying he was hiding the fact that he was with this woman because he was ashamed of having a kid with this woman. And he's saying, listen, if you do something, be sure about it. Stand 10 toes on it. Continuing on, he says 5% will comprehend, but 95 is lost. And this is the teachings of the Nation of Islam, where they believe that 95% of the references get lost in context and that, 5% really understand cause and effect. Continuing on, he says, be proud of who you are. Your strength comes from within. A lot of superstars, that's real, but your daddy ain't one of them. And you nothing like him, you'll carry yourself as a king. Can't understand me right now? Just play this when you're 18. Again, doubling down on the fact that, you're never going to get real stuff from your father. He's not a man. Listen to this song. It'll teach you the right ways of handling things, not like your father. Verse 2 is where Kendrick Lamar addresses Drake's mom and dad. And he starts out with addressing Drake's mom. Dear Sandra, your son got some bad habits. I hope you don't undermine them, especially with all the girls that's hurt inside this climate. You a woman, so you know how it feels to be in alignment with emotion, hoping a man can see you and not be blinded. So this is where he's breaking down the fact that Drake misuses women and treats them, in the worst possible ways and just uses them for sex and things that, don't hold much value. And he's saying your son, has these bad habits and you need to check him on these bad habits because you know what it's like to be used, basically. That, hey, you got married to Dennis and you guys got divorced and never really had a happy life. So he's jabbing at Drake's family once again, just like Pusha T did with the story of Addy Down. And this is a quick response to Family Matters because it kind of proves once again that Kendrick Lamar actually had a mole because he's addressing Drake's mom, and Drake's mom was in the beginning of Family Matters, where she says, maybe you shouldn't start by saying, and then Drake says the N-word, doubling down on what Kendrick said in Euphoria, that he shouldn't say the N-word. Then in these next lines, Kendrick Lamar addresses Drake's dad. He says, Dear Dennis, you gave birth to a master manipulator. Even using you to prove who he is a huge favor. I think you should ask for more paper and more paper and more paper. I'm blaming you for all his gambling addictions. Now, in these lines, he's saying that, Drake, because Drake's dad is black, Drake uses a lot of that to get away with a lot of things in hip-hop culture, like saying the N-word. That all that he leans on that Memphis, Tennessee, because his dad's from there, that he lives there his whole life, that he went to go visit in Memphis, Tennessee, and that he lives that Tennessee culture. And that's where he got his American, heritage from, and that he relies on that heavily. So Kendrick is saying, because your son relies on that heavily to get in this hip-hop world, you should be charging him. You should be taxing him. You should be asking for more and more money from him because that's where he gets most of his money. If it wasn't from people accepting him in America, he wouldn't be that big. Then he continues and says, I'm blaming you for all his gambling addictions. And Drake's dad is also a gambler, so, he's just saying that you gave him that addiction as well. Then he says, psychopath intuition, the man that liked to play victim. You raised a horrible fucking person. The nerve of you, Dennis. Sandra, sit down. What I'm about to say is heavy. Now listen. Your son's a sick man with sick thoughts. I think guys like him should die. So he gets very dark and diabolical here. He doubles down and says Drake's dad raised a horrible human being, and then doubles down on his mom and says, yeah, both of you guys raised a horrible human being. Sit down because he needs to die. He's just that bad of a person. Then he ties Drake into Harvey Weinstein, who was, accused of rape, and a bunch of sexual things that were, wrong towards women. So he says, Drake and Harvey Weinstein, he says, him and Weinstein should get fucked up in a cell for the rest of their life. People who do bad things to women, children, stuff like that, they usually get beat up in prison very often. It's very frowned upon when you do these type of things like rape, pedophile, whatever, stuff like that. You get hands put on you in prison. So he's saying him and Harvey Weinstein should be in the same cell getting beat up. He hates black women, hypersexualizes them with the kinks of nympho fetish. So once again, doubling down on the fact that Drake, all he likes is strippers and that he's not really someone who likes black women. He just sexualizes them. That's the only reason he likes them. Grew facial hair because he understood being a beard just fit him better. The beard is someone who, of the opposite sex, enters a usually loveless relationship to hide another person's homosexuality. It can be also used for cheating, to hide the fact that they're cheating. And Kendrick here is saying he grew a beard to be a beard, to hide in these type of situations, or to hide the fact that other people in his camp are doing wrong things. And the reason why I say that is because in the next line, he doubles down on that. He says he got sex offenders on HOVO that he keep on a monthly allowance. Now, who is this person? Of course, we find out on the next track, Not Like Us, it's Baca. Baca got a weird case. Why is he around? And that's basically what it is. Baca not nice. He's been charged with prostitution and human trafficking in the past. So he's saying, these people are around Drake and have done these horrible things when it comes to women. He continues, says, a child should not be compromised, and he keeping his child around them. Now he's saying, listen, Drake's mom and dad, Sandra, Dennis, listen, your grandson is around all these weird people that is around Drake, and that's compromising Adonis. Then he says, and we got to raise our daughters knowing there's predators like him lurking. Fuck a rap battle. He should die so all these women can live with a purpose. Doubling down the fact that Drake mistreats women and is a horrible person when it comes to women. Continues on, he says, I've been in this industry 12 years, so I'm going to tell y'all one little secret. It's some weird shit going on, and some of these artists be here to police it. They be streamlining victims all inside of their home and calling them tender. Then leak videos of themselves to further push their agendas. Kendrick Lamar in these lines alludes to the fact that Drake has a sex trafficking ring where he lures all these women into his house and does things to them. And there's actually been a lot of rumors and speculation of that. Somebody on TikTok went and said that, hey, Drake has a private Tinder account. That's why Kendrick Lamar says calling him tender, that he had a private Tinder account that he would look for women that, specific ages and stuff like that to bring to his house to invite to have fun with them. And Kendrick Lamar is saying a lot of high power artists do this. It's a sex trafficking type of thing. And it's kind of proven in the fact that Drake says in the Chicago Freestyle track, all good chubs will look around, find one that seemed my type. That's my dog, and he know what I like. He done found me plenty in my life. Basically doubling down that Drake, gets his team to find women for him to bring and that he can have fun with them. So Kendrick is saying he's doing all these weird things at his house with a bunch of women, disrespecting them. Then Kendrick says, to any woman that be playing his music, know that you're playing your sister. Or better, you're selling your niece to the weirdos, not the good ones. And this is Kendrick Lamar just warning Drake female fans that be wary of this guy. This guy's a weird guy that's into a lot of weird things, and don't support this because you're supporting a bunch of sex trafficking and things like that. Then he says, Cat Williams said, get you the truth, so I'm going to get mines. He's referring to that legendary Cat Williams interview that started out the year of 2024 on Club Shay Shay, where he says all the truths will be exposed, all the lies will be exposed. It's up for all the bad people, basically, that they're all going to get exposed this year. And Kendrick Lamar is doubling down on that, saying, I'm exposing Drake. Then he says, the embassy about to get raided too. It's only a matter of time. The embassy is Drake's house. That's what it's called in Toronto, that big mansion that he has. He actually has the embassy in front of it. That's what it's called. And he's saying that's going to get raided too. Just like Diddy's house got raided because of all these sexual lawsuits, he's eventually going to get raided because of all this sex trafficking that he's doing. Then he says this, and he addresses LeBron James, who's always been close to Drake and has shown love and support to him. He says, hey, LeBron, keep the family away. Then he addresses Steph Curry, who's also been close to Drake. He says, hey, Curry, keep the family away. To anybody that embody the love for their kids, keep the family away. They're looking at you too. If you're standing by him, keep the family away. I'm looking to shoot through any pervert that lives, keep the family safe. So he's saying, get away from this guy, because once they raid his house, once they go over everything that he's got, they're going to look at you guys as well and think that you guys are doing the same bad things. So stay the hell away from this guy because he's a pervert. And then towards the end of the line, he says, I'm going to destroy him completely. It's finished. It's up for him. Now the third verse, and this is where he addresses Drake's alleged daughter. Like I said, there's been no proof that he actually has a daughter, but Kendrick Lamar says this, Dear baby girl, I'm sorry that your father not active inside your world. You don't commit to much, but his music, yeah, that's for sure. He's a narcissist, misogynist, living inside his songs, trying to destroy families rather than taking care of his own. He should be teaching you timetables or watching Frozen with you, or at your 11th birthday singing poems with you. Kendrick is doubling down, saying that Drake abandoned his daughter. This is an 11-year-old daughter that Drake could care less about. Just like how if Pusha T would have never came out with the story of Adidon, Drake would have probably been a deadbeat when it comes to Adonis. That's what Kendrick Lamar is alluding to here, saying that, yeah, nobody knows about you, but hey, I know about you and I care about you. And just know that your father, all he cares about is his music. He doesn't care about his family. He should be in your life daily watching the Frozen movie, which is a child movie that every child watches with their parents, and teaching you things in life. Then he says, instead, he be in Turks paying for sex and popping perks, examples that you don't deserve. Drake consistently, and even after this battle, ironically, went to Turks and Caicos to have fun. And he's saying, listen, this guy pays for sex and pops drugs, and you shouldn't be around that. That's a bad example for you. Then he says, I want to tell you that you're loved, you're brave, you're kind. So this is Kendrick Lamar showing empathy for the daughter that Drake doesn't claim. You got a gift to change the world and can change your father's mind. And in here, he's saying that a lot of fathers usually, when they have a daughter, they tend to eventually start to respect women. Not every man. Most men respect women, but they have a different perspective on women once they have their own daughter, because now, hey, I have a daughter, I have a girl, and I want her to be treated with respect. So he's saying here that, you got a gift to potentially influence your father to finally respect women because you are his daughter. Continuing on, he says, because our children is the future, but he lives inside confusion. Money always been illusion, but that's the life that he's used to. His father probably didn't claim him neither. History repeats itself. Sometimes it doesn't need a reason. Doubling down on the fact that, Drake's father had a divorce from Drake's mom and that he moved far away and that, hey, he didn't care for his son. So Drake is emulating that, like father, like son. But I would like to say it's not your fault that he's hiding another child. Give him grace. This is the reason I made Mr. Morale. So our babies like you can cope later. This is a good flip. So he's saying, he's hiding another child, doesn't want to claim you. Don't worry about it, because Adonis was allegedly going through the same thing. And that's why I made my album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, to address these things in therapy and a lot of different things that people struggle with day in and day out. So he's saying, listen, I'm your leader here in this situation, doubling down throughout this whole track that I can teach Adonis and I can teach you. Don't worry about it. You're good. Just listen to my music and listen to me. Then he says, give you some confidence to go through something. It's hope later. I never want to hear you chase a man because it's feral behavior. Sitting in the club with sugar daddies for validation, you need to know that love is eternity and trumps all pain. In here, Kendrick Lamar is hoping that despite his daughter getting abandoned by Drake, that she doesn't turn to sugar daddies. Because normally when a female goes into prostitution or anything that, relates to like getting to sugar daddy, stuff like that, usually her father abandoned her or she isn't close to her father or, those type of things. So he's saying that regardless of your father abandoning you, do not resort to those bad things because Drake misuses that, abuses that, and you're going to continue the cycle, which then refers to obviously Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Then he says, I'll tell you who your father is. Just play this song when it rains. Yes, he's a hit maker, songwriter, superstar, right? And he's a fucking deadbeat that should never say more life. Meet the Grams. And he's playing off of the fact that, Pusha T called Drake a deadbeat on the story of Adidon, and the fact that Drake has the More Life album that he says, more life, we should be having more, things in life. But he's saying here, he shouldn't be saying those things because it doesn't even care about the life that he's brought to this earth. He could care less about them. He's a deadbeat. Now the fourth verse, the final verse, he addresses Drake directly. He says, Dear Aubrey, I know you're probably thinking I wanted to crash your party, but truthfully, I don't have a hating bone in my body. There's supposed to be a good exhibition within the game, but you fucked up the moment you called out my family's name. This is referring to Drake on Push-Ups where he says, I be with some bodyguards like Whitney. This is the same thing that Drake did to Pusha T, where he mentioned Pusha T's wife and said, I'm going to let it ring on you like Virginia Williams, back on the Duppy freestyle. And then Pusha T took it to the next level with the story of Adidon. He did the same thing here, and Kendrick is just saying, listen, I didn't want to destroy your life and your whole family and expose things, but you mentioned my family first, so I'm going there. Then he says, why you had to stoop so low to discredit some decent people? Guess integrity is lost when the metaphors doesn't reach you. Here he's saying, why did you attack, my wife, my manager, people that are great people that have nothing to do with this? All because you probably just don't understand my lyrics. That's why you decided to go at them. And then he says, and I like to understand because your house was never a home. 37, but you showing up as a 7-year-old. Here he's saying this is a grown man, 37 years old, that doesn't have his own personal life in order, but it makes it seem like he does. He's out in public, having all this money, doing all these fun things, but personally in his life, things are crashing. It continues and says, you got gambling problems, drinking problems, pill popping, and spending problems. Bad with money, whorehouse. So here he calls out all these things that Drake personally has wrong with himself. He says that Drake has a gambling problem. Drake has done a multi-million-dollar deal with Stake, which is a gambling company. It has, though, been reported that every time Drake gambles, he posts that Stake thing, which is part of his deal. And it has been reported by a lot of influencers that Stake gives influencers money to gamble with. So Drake technically isn't gambling with his own money, but Kendrick could be referring to a lot of different things that Drake gambles with as well. Not just Stake, because he's gambled before he did his deal with Stake as well. Then he says drinking problems, alcohol, that he's always, if you've seen him in recent interviews, he has that one specific drink that he always enjoys. Pill popping, which is the Adderall, the pills that were in the Meet the Grams artwork, Ozempic, all this stuff. And then you're just spending money ridiculously, that you're going to go broke. And he could be alluding to the fact that Drake did that $400 million deal with Universal, where he has to consistently tour in that deal. And that's why he's saying, listen, you did that deal because you're broke. You're always spending money. You're eventually going to go broke. And you're spending on women with the whorehouse stuff, that you're buying all these escorts. You're paying for all this, women to sleep with you. He doubles down on that women thing with the next line. He says, soliciting women problems, therapy's a lovely start. And here he could be referencing Drake's Champagne Poetry track, where he says, my therapist's voice is making the choices for me. Saying that, hey, therapy is a good way to start, Drake. Get help by going through therapy, and you're already doing that. That's a great start. Then he suggests other things. In the next line, he says, but I suggest some ayahuasca. Strip the ego from the bottom. Ayahuasca is a type of entheogenic brew made from the stem of bark and tropical liana and other botanical ingredients with hallucinogenic properties. Ayahuasca ceremonies are conducted under the guidance of experienced shamans and believed to induce healing and spiritual experiences. Studies show common side effects such as ego death or ego dilution. So he's saying your ego is so high, you need to go through these ayahuasca dealings to strip your ego. Then he continues and says, I try to empathize with you because I know that you ain't been through nothing. Crave entitlement, but want to be liked so bad that it's puzzling. In these lines, he's doubling down on what he's been saying throughout all of his diss tracks, that Drake hasn't had any tough experiences. So because of that, he does all these crazy things to try to feel like he's part of something. And that, the craving entitlement, want to be liked by everybody so bad that he goes into all these things, enjoying all these different things that are wrong for him, like gambling, like alcohol, just to fit in with the crowd. Then he says, no dominance, let's recap moments you didn't fit in. No secret handshakes with your friend. This is a direct response to Drake Weston Road Flows track, where he says, used to have secret handshakes to confirm my friendships. Nowadays, they just shaking my hand to hide the tension. So Kendrick Lamar is doubling down, saying, you don't even have close friends anymore. No more secret handshakes. Then he says, no culture cachet to binge. Just disrespecting your mother. Again, doubling down on Drake is an imposter in the culture. He doesn't have his own thing to grab from culture. So he's saying, you're doing all these wild things with women, which is in turn disrespecting your mother because your mother didn't raise you like that. You came from a proper household when it comes to the way your mom raised you. You were in a rich neighborhood. You didn't have to experience a lot of trauma, despite the fact that your parents divorced. Then he says, identities on the fence, don't know which family will love you. Again, doubling down on the fact that Drake doesn't know who he is, and that's why he compromises with a lot of things. That, hey, should he be closer to his father's side of things in Tennessee, more to black culture, or should he be closer to his mom's side of things, Jewish culture, white rich culture? Then he says, the skin that you live in is compromised in personas. And here he's talking about how Drake always goes into different styles and stuff to try to fit into different things. Then he says, can't channel your masculine even when standing next to a woman. Once again, doubling down on the Sexy Red thing. I mean, if you look at Drake with Sexy Red, it looks like damn near he's twerking with her. He has these moments where he looks more feminine when it comes to masculine men. I mean, there's even photos of him with like LeBron James where he's looking up to LeBron James and it looks like a girl that's dating a guy. It's hilarious. He has these moments, and I think Kendrick Lamar is doubling down on that, saying even when you're next to masculine men, you look like a female. You're not really like that. He says, you a body shamer, you gonna hide the baby mamas, ain't you? Here he's saying that Drake loves, being with a bunch of women, sleeping with them, having kids with them, and he's hiding a bunch more baby mamas. He just loves having them. You body shamer that, you're over here, talking about these women's and bodies that you love, and then you're over here sleeping with all these type of women. Then he continues and says, you embarrassed of them. That's not right. That ain't how mama raised us. talking about Drake's baby mama, Sophie. You know, he was embarrassed of her at first. He wanted to get, obviously, an abortion initially when she did get pregnant. So he never really came out and said that he, you know, had a kid with her until finally the information got put out there because of Pusha T. So he's doubling down on that and saying, your mom raised you better than that, and to hide and be ashamed of what you've done. It continues, says, take that mask off. I want to see what's under them achievements. This is where he directly attacks Drake's soul once again, just like Pusha T did. Then he says, why believe you? You never gave us nothing to believe in, because you lied about religious views. You lied about your surgery. You lied about your accent and your past tense. All is perjury. You lied about your ghostwriters. You lied about your crew members. They all pussy. You lied to them. I know they all got you in them. Here he's saying Drake's whole story, everything he's been through is a lie. He fakes these accents. He fakes, you know, the people he's around are not even good people. They're horrible people. You know, he has all these ghostwriters, doesn't actually sing or rap what he actually says in the music. You know, all this stuff, and then you lie on your crew members, all this stuff that you're just a horrible, horrible human being. Doubling down on that once again. And it says, you lied about your son. You lied about your daughter, huh? You lied about them other kids that's out there hoping that you come. So here he's alluding to even more kids out there, that he's probably impregnated a bunch of escorts and just strippers or whatever, whoever else is out there that he slept with, and that he doesn't claim them. And there have been a lot of rumors. There's been a lot of times where women have come out and says, hey, Drake's the father of my son. He has to, as a public figure, take actual test. If he ever gets accused of that, like legally, he has to do that as a public figure. But, you know, none of them have really come back. So I don't know what Kendrick is just kind of extending on that and saying that there's more. Probably all around the world he has more kids. Then he says, you lied about the only artist that can offer you some help. Fuck a rap battle. This a long life battle with yourself. And this is a hell of a way to end the verse. Basically saying, hey, once we're done with this rap battle, you got to still face those demons. You're dealing with a lot of things in your life, from gambling to messing with all these women, to being misogynistic, to having drinking problems, to all these things. Personal life, with not taking care of your kids. Hey, I'm the one person that could have helped you in this situation. I've been through a lot myself, but we're battling. I'm not going to help you. Deal with it. After this battle, you're going to really face your demons. Once again, attacking Drake's soul, questioning who he is as a man, as a person. And that's it for the bar breakdown of Meet the Grams. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This song was fairly simple, not too many deep meanings, at least in my eyes. I know people are going to reach and come up with, oh, this line is this, tied to this and this. I personally, like I said, I don't see it. A lot of these songs are not really that deep. I think Euphoria was the deepest track when it comes to everything. Everything else was pretty simple, layered. It didn't have too many insane layers to it. I know people are going to reach and come up with all kinds of theories and even comment under this video saying this is this and this is tied to this and this. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think this is just, you know, a lot of this stuff is pretty evenly layered, and there's really not much insane layers to it. The social media thing has gotten out of control when it comes to a lot of these tracks, where there's layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of bars, and it's like, come on, guys. They're not thinking that super far ahead to the point where there's like 10 things in one line. So that's my take on it. This is the way I've broken it down, and I feel it's this. Besides the artwork, there's like 10 million things about it. Other than that, most of this stuff is pretty simple when it comes to the bars. But let me know what you guys think. One of the greatest, I think, diss tracks that's come out of this battle. Very dark, very, very menacing, and the timing of it was just perfect. It's the perfect track to immediately attack someone after they dropped a diss track. So, yeah, that's it for the bar breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. New music, let's get into it. Eminem, of course, dropped. Roddy Ricch dropped. I reacted to the Roddy Ricch record and then Eminem. So, Eminem, Houdini dropped. Roddy Ricch, Survivor's Remorse drop, which is a pretty good track. I think he's going to need a more mainstream type of record to really get back in the limelight in people's eyes. Meek Mill, 5 a.m. in Philly, Logic, Deja Vu featuring DJ Drama, Belly, 96 Miles from Bethlehem album. I destroyed that title. Shabuzi, Where We Been Isn't Where I'm Going, which he's had a hit with that Tipsy remix. Polo G, Angels in the Sky. I haven't checked that out. I need to check that out. Glorilla Wannabe featuring Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, the remix. So shout out to her. Kalani Next to You. Shout out to her. She dropped her record as well. That's it for new music. Let's get into album sales, and Taylor Swift is still at number 1 with the Tortured Poets Department, selling 177,000 copies after its like 10th week. I don't know what week it is right now, but Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, is at number 2 with 149,000. 21 Pilots, Clancy, debuts at number 3 with 139,000. Morgan Wallen, One Thing at a Time, at number 4 with 74,000. Right Place, Wrong Person at number 5 with 54,000. Morgan Wallen, Dangerous, the double album, at number 6 with 45,000. Future, Metro Boomin, We Don't Trust You, at number 7 with 42,000. Gunna, 101 at number 8 with 42,000. Noah Khan, Stick Season, at number 9 with 40,000. And the Zach Bryan self-titled album at number 10 with 37,000. Going down the list, Sexy Red debuted her, I don't know, mixtape, I guess. She called it a mixtape, which makes no sense because that's technically sales she's doing. But debuted at number 16 with 26,000 sold first week. Going down the list, Drake, For All the Dogs, at number 27 with 20,000 sold. Kendrick Lamar, Damn, at number 29 with 20,000 sold. Travis Scott, Utopia, at number 30 with 20,000 sold. Kendrick Lamar, Good Kid, Mad City, at number 32 with 20,000 sold. Going down, Future, Metro Boomin, We Still Don't Trust You, at number 40 with 18,000 sold. Glorilla, Everything, at number 47 with 17,000 sold. And then Eminem, Curtain Call, at number 49 with 16,000 sold. And that's it for today's episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast. As always, appreciate you guys. Powered by Golden Eagle Energy Drink. Get your Golden Eagle Energy Drinks at drinkgoldeneagle.com/DMP. Please show them support because they sponsored all season 4 of the podcast. So check them out. Of course, Spotify, Deezer, Pocket Cast, YouTube, all that. Have an amazing night, day, whenever you're listening to this, and peace.